Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be a little bit miserable and a little bit dark, but unusually, we're still here to bring you some light and some joy. Joined by Stu. I feel like absolute crap because I've got a stinking viral infection, cold thing, and so I'm only going to be talking 90% of what I usually do. But it might make less sense than usual as well. But anyway, talking of making sense, Stu, save me. How are you, Stu?
Yeah, I'm actually all right. I feel a bit guilty that I'm in good rude health, listening to how you're feeling. But I'm quite lucky at the moment.
Should we do our best? I forgot his bloody name. This is where I am now. Matt Letitia cross Lawrence Fox podcast. Just blame it all on like COVID vaccines and stuff.
Yeah, I reckon so. It's the wokerati who are causing all these, and Bill
women.
Gates. You know,
women in football that do it.
Footballers, female footballers, all of that.
Talking of female footballers, though, very quickly, Edith finally met Mary Earps, Stu. I
saw the picture. That was superb.
Smile on her face meeting such a legend.
Yeah.
It took her so long, but finally Mary got to see Edith.
It must have made her life. Yeah, that's it.
It was so wholesome as well. It's just, I might talk about it more when I'm in a better health and that, but it was so lovely. And Edith's full of confidence usually. I've never seen her go shy and silly, and she went so shy and so silly when Mary finally came over to her. It was I love it, and to see someone have that effect on someone in a positive way, I think it's just amazing. You can see what the likes of like this current group of women players are actually doing. It's amazing. I'll talk about it more another time when I better, because we are a video games podcast over that. And unfortunately, rather than doing the usual, what's that thing I do?
We do a segue into games.
But talking of things that are wholesome and great, do you know what isn't wholesome and great, Stu?
Go on, what's that?
Video game industry.
Oh, that's true.
And they're so just self-unaware as well. The current one is like Microsoft, having just spent billions and billions acquiring studios and Activision and Bethesda and all that lot, have shuttered studios, including Tango Gameworks, who were given awards as of a couple of months ago for the excellent Hi-Fi Rush, and then just completely day after shuttering Tango Gameworks, he made Hi-Fi Rush, spoke about how they need great small games like Hi-Fi Rush. Oh, and put Hi-Fi Rush in a humble bundle. Just, because that's normal behaviour. And Roll7 have been shut down as well, who made the excellent Ollie Ollie World, the Ollie Ollie games. I think we spoke about it, and Rollerdrome as well, who won awards. And what the fuck, Stu? No, I'm not blaming you, obviously, but
yeah, it was all me. I did a write-in campaign about it. No, I completely agree. It's bananas because I've played of those games you mentioned. Rollerdrome recently, Hi-Fi Rush very recently. Both of them I was really impressed by. Really rare to see a kind of AA game or A game. Kind of something that's promoted by a huge studio, but is a kind of smaller title in terms of cost to develop, but actually, or even like on a even smaller scale than that, and with no criticism intended when it comes to Rollerdrome, and to see them do so well and get such praise, and then this happen is absolutely insane. And it's it really boils down to the people who should be sacked are the people who are making these decisions because they're absolute idiots. And it's not just because they're venal idiots who want money. They are literal idiots who don't understand how a business works. So they're getting it wrong on a personal level and they're getting it wrong on a professional level. There is no defence of anything that's happened within Microsoft this week. There is no defence for it.
No, and Stephanie Sterling's put it perfectly over the last years and that. Corporations, they don't just want money, they don't just want some of the money, they want all of the money. And they will do, like, don't forget, we're only a few weeks away from I think it was Mike Ybarra, wasn't it, talking about let's tip for games, because some games are so good, and he was talking about AAA games, that we should tip. No, we shouldn't, for a start. And also, anyone, and I don't blame gamers for this, but anyone now, you can't use the excuse of, oh, you shouldn't boycott the games because the developers, that's what will keep them in. It doesn't matter. You could be award winning, you could be successful. They're going to shutter you if they want to. You can't even use that as an excuse. I've done it in the past. I've gone, do you know what? This game, I'm going to buy this AAA game because it's good for the developers. It will show that there's space for them. Don't matter. Really does not matter anymore. Buy indie. Because again, if you focus on indie, if the person making it's an absolute dickhead, you don't have to buy the game, and you affect pretty much them and a smaller amount of people. But a small amount of people can find other roles, other jobs, make their own games. And again, we know there's no such thing as a 100% solo developer. But what's likely to happen with these smaller indie teams is there's going to be, like, that one person is still going to be paying their staff, generally, on people working on it for working on it, and they're going to be the sole earner when it hits the big time of game. So again, if someone's a dickhead, it's a lot easier to avoid and go, I'm out. It's like, I haven't bought Cultist Simulator because the guy behind it's a knobhead. Putting it lightly. I've got Cultist Simulator because I think I got it in a bundle or something like that, and I'll add it. It's whatever, I haven't played it, but I'll add it. But I didn't want to buy it, won't buy it, and it's easier to make that decision. Those who went, oh, you've got to buy Hogwarts, it's a good game, and you can't just do it because of JK. Blah, blah, blah. Well, what are you going to do if you bought the game? I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers shut them down at some point as well. So, yeah, all I'm saying is stick to indie. You know what you're getting that way, and there's some bloody good indie games, Stu. Yeah.
I really, end up buying indie 90% of the time these days, maybe 80%. It's a lot. And, when I get AAAs now, I very often just get them second hand. It's really handy. My advice to people would be, when the console generation ends, don't sell it off straight away. Be slower picking up AAAs. Pick them up secondhand whilst you can, while they still produce physical media for them. Keep your PS4s, keep your Xbox, whatevers. Keep them, or buy a cheap PC and do it up over time. Get the games as cheap as you can. Don't fund these people as much as you possibly can. Keep the money out of their pockets and support indies as your main goal, because it's turning into a real proper political statement now. It's properly political around this,
and it'll show not just video game corporations but other corporations that we can and we will stick it to you. I hope that can be the case. But just like, if people go, well, there's no games, there's nothing for me, I've got a quick list of stuff that's coming out or just come out over the past weeks. So we've just had V-Rising has just hit 1.0 and it's brilliant. Much better than Diablo. Cryptmaster is another game that's come out. An amazing game that I can't talk about yet because it's embargoed, but I've had it early. It's called Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. It's brilliant. That's about as much as I can say. Tell Me Your Story, which is a puzzle adventure game. Cozy Caravan. A bunch of city builders, like puzzle-based ones. Like there's one called Technotopia that's got a demo that's really good. We've got a one-on-one sword fighting game called Die by the Blade. It's like a Shogun type thing, which is flawed but still really fun. We've had Hades 2, little title. You might not have heard of it, Stu.
Pass me by that one.
Yeah. Hexguard, which I spoke about last week. Paramount, which Surmount, which I wrote about. Indica, which is a brilliantly amazing, surreal experience that's got such high values. Another Crab's Treasure, which is a Souls-like set under the sea where you play as a crab. Oddsparks, which I got really excited about. Sweet Transit has just had a thing. Manor Lords just blown up, has put so many other games to shame. Harold Halibut, I didn't like it. Lots of people did, but it's still an experimental game that's done so much. Yellow Taxi goes through. You could go on and on and on. And I'm looking at my list and going, right, that's all the indies that I'm looking at just on the list. Crow Country, you're going to speak about that in a minute. And I'm going, right, okay, so that's a bunch of the indies. What have we got from the AAAs? We've got Topspin 2K5 or 2K25, which is a broken mess. Plays a decent game of tennis, but if it's a broken mess and tries to sell you shit. So yeah, there we go. That's the AAA that's come out in that time as well.
Yeah.
So, if you want a sports game, by the way, if you want a sports game, and it's indie, because I get people going, you can't get good sports games as indies. Tactic Boxing, which I've got, which is a very low res graphics, unheavy type boxing game that's realistic as you like. It's in a very early access, but it plays a brilliant game of boxing. Indie, and I think that costs like pennies as well. It's going to have a very, very quick look. For anyone who's interested, you could get that for $5.95 at the moment, and it's one of the best boxing experiences I've played. So you've got those games, so you could buy 10 copies of that for the cost of 2K25 tennis. So
yeah. The value proposition it's all in the indies at the moment.
And Little Kitty Big City, I should mention that as well, because I'm going through games and it's just such an amazing experience where you play a kitten that gets lost in the city and got to find its way home, and it's ADHD in the game, because you start and you go, oh, where am I going? Okay, I've got to do this. Oh, that's interesting. What's that? Oh, I'll do that thing. Why am I in here? Oh, why is that person chasing me? Okay. Oh, there's something else. Oh, there's a puddle there. It's literally the game, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's like it just spoke to me, Stu, in a way that I understand. So yeah, stick to your indie. There's so many good games out there.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah.
So this is what I had to you. I go, so Stu, what have you been playing? You say, I've been playing Call of Duty, Brad.
Cool. I don't think that's ever going to happen, to be quite honest with you. I have, in fact, been playing, as you mentioned, Crow Country, which is a unusual kind of game in a way. It's very familiar but unusual. It's a throwback, as we're starting to see quite a lot of, a PS1 style throwback game that's a exploration survival horror that's very much patterned after Resident Evil. But the graphics, they take their inspiration from another very high profile PS1 game, which is Final Fantasy. It's really strange. So it's kind of, you've got the gameplay style is very much in your kind of Silent Hill era stuff, and your actual visuals are very much in your tiny little cutie sprite.
Yeah, they're like almost chibi, aren't they? In that Final Fantasy way, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but what is quite remarkable about doing that is it still manages to keep a good spooky atmosphere, and I think mainly because there's a couple of things it does really, really well. So, I mean, obviously it's in this kind of isometric style view, like you'd get in Final Fantasy VII. But it plays like a classic Resident Evil. But what it does really well is it's set in a kind of spooky fairground style, attraction place, and that automatically gives you plenty of stuff to draw on to make it, a kind of what's it called? Kind of chilling and a little bit eerie. It's kind of got that built in. I mean, they used it in Alan Wake 2 not long ago, to do the same thing. And it's got that built in. The creatures are a little bit kind of like those in Signalis, in that they're spooky but not terrifying, and they're a bit uncanny. And it's the uncanny that makes them scary. So rather than being zombies or werewolves or whatever, they're, weird puppet shapes, or they're stick figures. And it's a really good way of making low poly stuff still be a little bit odd and a little bit frightening. So that works. But most importantly, the puzzles are good. They're very logical, nicely set out, very clear to read, but not simplistic, you know. So you're going around this spooky fair and you're solving puzzles and you're shooting stuff, with the combat being the lesser important thing. And like classic Resi, you are supposed to dodge as many enemies as you can.
Yeah.
Preserve,
as it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Preserve your ammunition, you know, because stuff keeps coming back and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, all that good. There's very little I can say that's a criticism, really. You know, the graphics are simple, but they work really well. The camera's pretty decent. It's fully rotatable as well, so if you get stuck, you can move it around. The only thing I suppose there's a criticism is that the pathfinding isn't amazing. The map is deliberately a little bit obscure, so it'll show you what general area you're in once you've picked up a map, but it won't show you specifically where you are. And that is part of classic Resi.
Yeah, because it's exactly straight out of original Resident Evil, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But I would have abandoned that, and just because it doesn't really hinder you in a way that's good for the kind of puzzle control. Showing you exactly where you are, so you know which door you need to go through, I think is a better solution personally. But there you go.
Or don't have it at all. If you really want people to discover, don't have it at all. Have a map that you can refer to, but don't have any indicators on the map.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's different ways around it. The way they've gone for is fine, but it's not perfect. But you know, that's all. And the only other thing is that, you know, it's kind of a been there, done that, in that it doesn't really bring anything new because it's a deliberate throwback. But because it's a deliberate throwback, you can't criticise it for that. Good atmosphere, makes you feel kind of tense and spooky when you're playing it. Doesn't cost much, looks nice, full of, you know, nostalgia for people of that age. It's a good game.
Quick question. I've not quite played this yet, and I will be playing it. I'm just in the middle of a bunch of other stuff at the moment because there's just too many games coming out. Can't handle it. It's definitely a mixture of Resi and Silent Hill. What I said, I think visually reminds me. My first thing, I was glad you mentioned Final Fantasy because that was the thing that reminded me of was Final Fantasy VII. It's one of the screens, the inventory management screen. You've got like your condition on it. That is ripped straight out of Resident Evil. Is it straight out of it for all the good and bad, or has it managed to add any quality of life to like the inventory management and stuff like that?
I think for the moment I've not had any issues with running out of space. So I think you kind of, the items you get and then the frequency in which you need to use them means that you're dropping things in and out of it quite quickly. And I think they've, to answer your question, I think in a quality of life sense, they've done it so that it's not really a problem. Inventory management's not really a problem. So,
I don't like the idea of your inventory's full. You can't put this tiny little flower or this tiny little key in your inventory because you've got no room. And it's like, behave. Yeah. It's a key.
Yeah. No,
I'm
exactly.
I'm going to use it on that door there. Literally, I could hold it. That door. I'm going to use the health on myself, right? I don't need to put it in my backpack. Just, and it's tiny. But then you can go, you've got one slot, but you can fit an entire fridge in there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I don't need the fridge, but I can fit an entire fridge. Fair enough.
Yeah. It's done it much more logically than that, and in the universe as well, it's more of a kind of you know, there are a lot more sort of sturdy doors that you obviously couldn't just like kick open if you didn't have a key for them and stuff like that. So
that always made me laugh in the original. Like again, you realise how far things have come when you look back at like the original Resi. You got this like rotting, broken down door that you can't open because it's locked. And it's like, I'm sure all you've got to do is one finger push it, and that's gonna collapse. And like, no.
Yeah, that, or there's a window next to it that you could easily just push in, you know, or all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it kind of avoids that sort of pitfall.
But I love that. It's so of its time and it's so quirky. It's one of those things where you look like, what's the video game thing? What are you gonna do? So it's silly, but I like it. But it's of its time. If you're gonna do that, you've got. I think if you want to put that in a game, where there's a rickety old door you can't get through. You really need to create a thematic reason as to why you can't. What's actually stopping you? Lean into it. But yeah, no, we're going off topic a bit there. We don't do that usually. But yeah,
of course not.
It's on my list to play in the next couple of weeks when I find room, Stu.
Well,
because
nice problem to have. But yeah, no, go on. What are you playing?
It is. Well, I can't just sit around and play video games. Just want to point that out to you because I'm headed out, Stu. Because I've been playing Headed Out, Stu.
All right, very good.
That is what I was going to write about for last week's Indie Roundup. Now, we've been talking about corporations and stuff like that, and I don't know whether this is indie or not. This is something like I want people to feed back to me at some point, how strict I should be with the Indie Roundup. I don't want to. I'm not going to stick in like the next big Sony exclusive or anything like that. But Saber Interactive, for me, I thought this was an indie, but Saber Interactive are owned by Embracer Group. But Embracer Group probably even own like your cup that you're using, Stu. They seem to own everything. So I don't, I didn't know whether to include this. So everyone got any feedback on whether I should include something like this in future in the Indie Roundup? Let me know. But anyway, that's what the podcast is for. And so we can have lovely chat. And I can talk and you can sit there quietly. Anyway, what have I been playing? Yeah, Headed Out. Which is another one of those games where I want to talk about, but I don't want to over talk about it because it'll ruin the experience, because you need to know little going into it to get the most out of it. It's very much story based and the story is important. So essentially, the Mad Max scenario, it's you and your car, right? And you got to get somewhere, right? So it's that whole thing. But it's set in America. It's not set in the post-apocalypse as such. But basically, you got your car, and the open road. And you've got to drive across America for reasons. And I'm not going to go into reasons because, again, story-based game. And you meet loads of different people, you have conversations, you interact with them in various different ways, and every interaction you have affects your journey. You've got to worry about things such as your fuel consumption, and, have you rubbed someone up the wrong way? So you might end up having a race across a stretch of America, or you might end up in some kind of chase or battle, and then you've kind of got this story that you might break off and do somewhere, and the map seems vast, and obviously it's not like a one-to-one scale with the United States. It's like, look, here's a representation of going from state to state, and there's various different lines you can take. And it's presented in this really cool Sin City style, visual style. With black and white comic type things, so you get like the speed lines coming off your car and stuff, and then there's elements of colour thrown in at right points. So like there's like a really striking one that really hit me, and they've put it in screenshots for some reason as well. I don't blame them. Where it's all black and white, but then you're racing a car and the car's just bright yellow, and it's just so, oh my god, it just like really hits you in all the right ways. And it's somewhat roguelike, but not at the same time. It's not a case of doing this, dying, starting again, doing this, dying, starting again. It's like you can redo it and redo, take different routes, make different options kind of thing. So it's more of a choose your own adventure. I mean, all choose your own adventures. Oh, there we go. I've had noise coming. Hang on. So, all choose your own adventures are technically roguelikes. All games are technically roguelikes if you really want to go that way. But yeah, you got multiple paths, multiple stories, multiple interactions, multiple ways of travelling across the states. As I said, like you could have chases, races, just pure story mode and exploration, inventory management in a good way. And the more you play, the more you learn about your character, why they're doing this, what is important about it, who the other characters are, why they're involved in your life, that kind of thing. And yeah, I had a really, really good time with it. I've played it through once, and I'll probably go back and do it another go when I forgot about what I actually did and go for a completely new experience. Like it's really tense. So there's one moment where I'm being chased by the police, and it feels really, really intense because your car is your life in a way in this. Like probably more so than it is in Pacific Drive for me. You're like, I don't like. Jesus Christ, the copper's hitting me. I don't like. I've got. I can't. This can't. I can't do this. I can't be on a copper. I need to evade him, but I need to find ways to do it without smashing my car up because it's important not driving too far in the wrong direction. Because again, I've got to worry about consumption and stuff like that, and how many miles can I do? And it's all these little things that come together and makes for this like kind of lone road warrior style story. And yeah, a good few hours with it, just really, really enjoyable.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, it always makes me laugh with these sorts of things where, it's like, it's kind of semi-post-apocalyptic and, your car is your life and all this. And you got, obviously, like, got no petrol or there's hardly any fuel. And so you're driving a massive American muscle car instead of like a tiny little Toyota or something, It's like, yeah, you really should be going for something with the miles to the gallon that you more
go
reliable.
with a smart car or something like that.
It's probably not the takeaway for this game, is it?
No, but yeah, it's like you can either go iconic or you can go realistic. But the movies have never gone realistic. Although I do want to see a Mad Max style film where the guy's driving around in a Honda Civic.
Yeah, or a Prius.
Only sticking to the speed limit, even though there won't be any in the post-apocalypse, but sticking to the speed limit because it's best fuel efficiency.
Precisely. This is what we need. This is what we need in these games.
It's what I want in my action post-apocalypse films and games, yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's really good. And again, so that was about £15 as well, if that matters to you. Really cool soundtrack, which you can get separately. I haven't got the soundtrack, but I would be tempted if I got it in a bundle rather than just a game on its own. But yeah, it's got really good music. Perfectly fine on the Steam Deck as well. As I imagine Crow Country was as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely flawless on it. Yep.
So yeah, what's next from yourself?
Well, this one has been a long time brewing and a really long time in the making. Really chuffed to finally have it. So it's C-Smash VRS, which it sounds like word salad until you break it down a little bit. So it's the 20-year-old sort of...
I keep getting emails about it and I keep thinking it's some kind of scam thing. It just doesn't look like a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but thankfully it is. Yeah, it's the sequel to Cosmic Smash, which was an arcade game and also on the Dreamcast, so a good 24 years ago now, I think. And what Cosmic Smash is a basically space squash game. So you're in a room. It's done in kind of really simple vector graphics, and you have to play squash, but you get like panels that you have to break, like Arkanoid, because it's Arkanoid year apparently, after me playing against Great Darkness earlier. And yeah, you have to break the panels as well. And how that kind of mixes things up is the panels can move, some of them take multiple hits, some of them are hidden behind little perspex panels that can't be broken, so you have to hit it around, etc. And the sort of gameplay quirks are you've got aftertouch, so you can sort of control the ball in the air a little bit. And you've also got a power smash that you can do by holding down a button to build up power, which has like a limited use, like a nitro on a car. And very fun but very simple game. And C-Smash VRS is, unsurprisingly, a VR version of it, and it's a VR sequel, and very much in the same style. But the difference being, of course, that like you're in first person and you can't jump. Like your character could jump in the first game. You can't do that in this game, although you can squat. It calls it squatting as opposed to crouching for some bizarre reason to hit low balls. So you're basically playing squash in VR. And yeah, so I started playing it and I really liked it, but found it technically a bit awkward because you have to move left and right across the court, the squash court, by using the stick, and getting to the ball was proving really, really, really hard. Fine when it was reasonably close to you, but if it wasn't, kind of buggered. So I thought, that's not great. And the ball was sort of landing a bit low quite often as well, like in real squash. which meant like having to squat, which didn't work very well, or banging your controller on the floor trying to physically like hit the ball. But after I played it for a few hours, I had a break, and then about a week later there was a patch which allows you to have the ball angle itself more towards your character when it's coming back rather than just be miles away. And that's kind of a game changer, really. It doesn't make it particularly easier, but it stops that being a technical barrier. So you're able to hit the ball back more easily. And it's then more about, right, okay, got to be accurate, got to make sure my hand position is right when I'm striking the squash ball the first time. And I've got to make sure my aftertouch is good. So I've got to like remember to curl my hand so that, does it. And that's where the real genius of the game comes in. So it's so satisfying when you've got like a barrier that you have to break, and it's like behind this protective shield, and you successfully not only hit it right the first time, but they'll also do a really wild kind of tweak with your hand to give it what they call English to spin right around the back of it and hit it.
Yeah.
And when you get used to it, so it's got a very high difficulty ceiling. It's kind of, your vertical difficulty is getting used to it takes quite a while. But when you start improving, you realise how deep it is. It's really great, very, very sophisticated. Even the slightest movement on the controller feeds back into the game. It properly uses that really haptic, three-dimensional space control of VR controllers, which so few games really do. So if you're into that and you're into tennis or squash or table tennis and you fancy that kind of a sort of intricate workout in a fun space, go for it. It's excellent. I really, really, really like it.
That VR only, is it?
Currently it is, yeah. So it came out on the PS5, on the PSVR 2, and I thought it was going to be stuck as an exclusive, but it finally got a release on Quest. And at the moment it's VR only, and I believe the PS5 version is retrospectively getting a 2D regular mode so that you can play it without that, without VR. I don't know how that'll work, but it'll be interesting to see when it comes out. But for the moment it's VR only, but on PS5 it's going to be a general release soon, I think.
Good, yeah, interested. I'd be maybe one of those I've kind of, when I did realise what it was, I was like, oh, this is interesting, I'll never play it. But if it gets a non-VR version or maybe gets a Steam release, I'll maybe give it a go. But I've got not much to add for once because I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's just great. I mean, if you like that kind of thing, it's the sort of thing you'll love. Whereas if you're not bothered, you'll be totally bored by it. I think it was the same reaction with Cosmic Smash, really. It didn't do very well, even though it's a perfectly good game. But if it clicks with you, it's, it's just one of those that you love.
And that's just fine. That's all you need. As long as it clicks with you as a person, that's all that matters. If it doesn't, it don't.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is why we're fair. We know we love the indies, Stu. We know we love the indies. We're big fans, you might have guessed. But we know not every single indie game can be good. We know that, Stu. We've been lucky. Headed Out is brilliant. Crow Country's brilliant. Your C-Smash thing seems really, really good as well. Again, it's not for me, VR, so I don't, not for me, but seems really good. Now, they can make bad games as well. And Undead Inc. I've been playing, which is a game that looked like it was going to be exactly my sort of thing. It's roguelike. It's resource management, city building in a way, all that kind of thing, survival. It looked right up my street, and I was like, yes, I'll have some of this, thank you very much. And I played it, and oh boy, it's not good. So, do you know games like Shelter and Fallout Shelter, where you kind of get these block rooms you use, and you basically build up a what's it called, a settlement, but it's 2D. You put these blocks of rooms in rather than building out on a map and stuff like that. It's basically that kind of visual. I think XCOM does it with the in between bits. You could do that kind of thing in XCOM. Bizarrely, the bit I don't like of XCOM, but I like these games. Anyway, so it's kind of that where you go in, there's reasons, and it's garbage. Basically, you work for this evil corporation, I suppose, called the Enswell Medical Corporation, which I've got to admit is a really cool name. The Enswell Medical Corporation.
Yeah, I like that.
Sounds like a legit place in America, in all fairness. And you're basically hired as some kind of director type person, and you've got to basically build buildings, manage the staff, you got to do some researchy bits, etc., etc. All the usual gubbins that comes with it. You like research, you expand, you do that, but for whatever reason, basically, it's all coming down on you. You've got to at some point escape. And you escape and you try and gather up all the resources, all the tech trees you've learned, everything like that, and you gather it all up, you get to the extraction point and you leave. And then the roguelike element comes in, you go, oh, there's another one, or you got to do it again. But the stuff you've saved, you can take with you into your next, basically, run. It's a decent idea. And it's like the general loop of it works really, really well. I don't mind the whole idea of the building a facility, basically having to leave it behind and starting again. It's something Against the Storm does really, really well as a city builder, better than anything that's come before it or since, in all fairness. The takeaway of this, go play Against the Storm because it's brilliant. By the same publishers as Manor Lords, by the way, if you want a seal of quality. I will talk about Manor Lords properly at some point because it's so good. Anyway, back to this, which isn't so good. The core gameplay loop is fine. Visually, it's fine. The problem is, it should be an early access game, or even a pre-alpha play test thing, because it is broken. Beyond broken. It's loads of weird bugs, and it's not even worth me listing the bugs there are because everyone's had really weird different bugs. I've tried this on both the actual PC and I've tried it on Steam Deck because it does work with a controller. For me, if something works with a controller, that says to me, oh, that should be playable on the Steam Deck in some fashion. It's a mess. But it's not just like the usual UI stuff either. It's just a mess. So one of the early ones I had was it would hard freeze every time I entered a particular research room. And I tried looking for it. No one else had that particular issue. And I restarted a brand new game, put the same research room in, and it just didn't work. No one else got this issue that I could see. So I was like, I'll just avoid that, which you can do, in all fairness, and I didn't do it, and then I accidentally put it in a later run, and it broke my entire play session that I'd done. Its onboarding is really poor. I accidentally put in the wrong language. Someone else had this issue as well, which I found funny. So I put in the wrong language to start. It was only French, and I understand enough French to be able to usually go through menus and go, le menu and le language and whatever. That's really racist of me. Get rid of that or keep it in. I don't mind. I don't know what that was, but I know enough French that I can bodge my way through a menu. And I don't know what that was. It's better than this game, that much I can say. But you can't change your language. It just wouldn't let me change language. I had to literally uninstall the game, completely wipe everything, and reinstalled it from scratch. I don't want to do that. It nearly put me off. It's bitty. It lags everywhere. Some of the things like when you've got a game like this and you've got things you can look at and go, right, that's how that's done, and they've done it really well. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So, like, employee management is awful in this. It's really, really bad. And it's like, well, it's a big bit of the game. Why is it so bad? And, like, the gameplay is simplistic in many ways, and I like that. But at other points, it's overly simplistic. It's insulting how simplistic it is. And it's just really, really weird. Like, it feels feels like it's still a draft of a game rather than something they should be putting out to the public.
Right.
And it's not even out as early access, it's out as an actual game.
God,
and
crikey.
yeah, it's Team 17 as well. But Team 17 aren't Team 17 anymore, are they, in all fairness? They aren't the Worms people anymore.
No, true.
What's her name's left, hasn't she? Debbie Bestwick, she's not even part of Team 17 anymore, I believe.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
She might be, I don't know. If she is, then it's her fault. But, you know, you got to wonder where Team 17 are going as well. You know, they've got things coming out called, like, Autopsy Simulator. And it's just like, whenever I see, like, generally the word simulator in a game with something that you don't really ever see, I'm like, oh, it's going to be one of those games, isn't it? It's going to be, we're hoping to go on the old TikToks, get some reactions on TikTok. Let's get a game out there for it. I mean, I know it's not them making it, they're the publishers, but it's like, where's the quality control gone?
Yeah.
You had Worms. You had one of the best series of games ever released. Worms was great. Team 17 used to be great. Alien Breed and all that. Now we've got Undead Inc. Really poor, but we have got Sweet Transit they made, which is really good. Well, they didn't make, they published, which is really good. But sort yourselves out, Team 17. Don't let stuff like Undead Inc. out. It wasn't ready to go out. Put your foot down and just go, nah.
Sounds like they're kind of floundering a bit with the departures causing a big ruckus and shake-up.
Possibly. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Undead Inc. not it. That's... you know what I'm like. Sure, I don't like going all in on a game, but this is bad. Bad. I tried numerous times and I couldn't find anything apart from saying, like, the core gameplay loop. There's something there, but that something is already in Sheltered or even Fallout Shelter, a free-to-play game. It's already in existing games that I can play for really cheap or free. Yeah, I can't. There's nothing I can say about this that says, get this. There's existing games, get one of those instead.
Yeah, point taken. And even if it was an also-ran, if it's got tons of bugs, then it's an absolute flat no, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's just gone, it's just another one of these, and it ran okay, that's what I would go, do you know what? Fine. The bugs have just made me not even look at what's good about it. It's so buggy that I'm just going, well, this is just... It's like literally going into a house and going, it's a really nice house. Let me just open this cupboard in the kitchen. Oh my God, look at all the cockroaches. We're not living here, Sandra. No, there's cockroaches in the kitchen. Loads of bugs. No, don't care how nice the rest of the house is.
No cockroach cupboard for me. No.
But there's the title of the podcast.
Yes.
I like it when we call out the title of the podcast later in the show. I'm hoping someone goes, I wonder at which point they're going to say the words. It's like, do you know when you watch a film and you're watching it and they sort of go, right, this is the name of the film, and then they say the name of the film somewhere in the film, and you just like, your reaction is, they said it!
Yeah, it's that ooh kind of reaction, yeah.
They said the words!
They said the thing. Yeah, no, I do that with podcasts all the time. I'm like sitting there like, which ones are going to be? Yeah.
It's like, at the moment when they sit there going, God, do you know what? It really is Schindler's List, isn't it? And like, and then it does the freeze frame at the end. No, that's something completely different.
Well, with Oscar Schindler like punching the air, and like high-fiving.
Yeah. With the really sort of upbeat music at the end, Teen Wolf style.
Yeah, a bit of a montage as well going on, like an 80s montage of like shaking hands with like the people he's rescued and like waving the trains goodbye and things like that.
Neil's just completely reframed the Holocaust. That's with, Jesus Christ, we're worse than Joey Barton.
Just for avoidance of doubt, all of that was a joke.
We jest. We jest. We jested about Steven Spielberg, not the Holocaust. Just point that out.
Yep.
But yeah, we said the name of the title. I can't remember what that was now because that was 30 seconds ago, and I've spoken for enough time to fill 15 podcasts in that time. So, do you know what that means, Joe?
What does that mean?
That time I should probably shut up.
Fair enough. Yes, so as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you check out our content on the website and on YouTube. Join us for discussion on Discord about any subject you want, including games, but also mental health. And until the next time even, have a great week. Stay safe and stay sane.